Hey there guys, this is Dark Chieftain with another ACW 1.2 Hardcore 1v1 multiplayer battle replay. This battle is going to be again between myself, Dark Chieftain, and the Winged Hussar, who will be playing as Confederates. I'll be playing as First Corps of the Union. The map is Cashtown Ardentsville. So I was deployed on the left or western side of the map, which gives me this nice hill in the center. So I'm going to get up here, keep my units, my infantry in the woods, and put my artillery at the top of the hill, try to destroy his artillery, and then force him to attack me up the hill. He obviously is deploying on the east side. He has the advantage of a lot more forests that he can naturally defend. Since it's a 1v1, there's no point in worrying about the LOC points because obviously there's only one army. It's not going to take 60 minutes for one of us to destroy the other one. These battles usually, LOC doesn't matter, it's mostly just who wins the battle in the traditional sense with Napoleon. So my plan is to scout the left with some skirmishers. I'm going to move up this road and go into this left woods here and see if it defends it at all. If not, I'll put my men in there and try to use that as a place to push from. My main force with 2 skirmishers, my cannons, and 7 infantry are going to go right up the center and set up in this field here. And then I have my Iron Brigade, all my elite units with 1 unit of skirmishers on the right flank. I'm hoping to keep them hidden, sneak them up to this forest, and then depending on where he deploys, try to get him into this forest here so that I don't have to assault the forest from the open field, essentially, is my plan. But I will fast forward until the action starts. Fighting hasn't started yet, but on the right flank, my sneak attack got spotted pretty quick. He had some skirmishers out in the field. He spotted my skirmishers as well as my main Iron Brigade line. So he is going to likely shift units over from this flank on my left, his right. So he has some sharpshooters. He's going to shift them from over here over to his left to try and counter my elite units of the Iron Brigade. In the center, I've got a couple skirmishers in this forest here. I will at some point move them up to here in these smaller wood patches just so I can spot him for my artillery, which is nearly ready to set up. I'm actually leaving him behind the crest of the hill for now. I want to see where his artillery is first before I set mine up, and then once I spot his artillery, I'm going to move mine up and get them firing as quickly as possible. It's a bit of a risk because if he hits me with a shell while my men are still limbered, I could lose an entire section or entire gun and caisson, which will be 6 men, and it likely will rout the unit, even if I only lose 1 of those. I'm trying to make him think that I'm advancing the left, so I'm actually moving my general over to this left forest where I just have skirmishers. Just a little bit of a ruse. Likely won't do much, but if I can at least distract a couple of his infantry to that side while my main assault hits him in this woods here, that's the goal. The shooting has officially started. Not much, it's just skirmishing. I've got some of my skirmisher units up in these small woods, and they're skirmishing against his sharpshooters and skirmishers, and I do spot one of his artillery units now, so I'm going to move mine up. So you can see I got 1 limbered. I'm going to focus down his artillery. Actually, I'm focusing on infantry right now. These units out in the open are a prime target for artillery. If they get hit with a direct strike, they're going to lose a lot of guys. But I will switch targets over to this artillery unit. And looks like he has one here as well. Try to get that artillery routed from the field so I have the advantage and I don't have to attack his woods. That way he would have to attack me or he'd sit there and get shot by artillery until he's either loses or is forced to move out. Over here he sees, or he likely was going to move this skirmisher unit, I should say, up to attack my cannons, but he probably realized he would need to route my skirmishers first, so he's actually going to come up and get into melee with my skirmishers. So he's going to fire first. One thing to note with this mod is that skirmishers have absolute trash melee. As you can see, they don't even have bayonets. So they don't do well in defensive or aggressive melee. They're just there for scouting and a little bit of firing. I shift my unit over to face the unit that's next to him in the open field. I need to get a volley off before his men get in the woods, but he's going to move up into the woods to avoid that. taking any casualties that he doesn't need to. Now you can hear he put his men in melee. They're doing the rebel yell. My men are all needing reloads, so they're going to not get a shot off before getting engaged in melee by this tiny little unit of now 15 men. Initially, his men start to break, but my men have taken more casualties and are not happy, and I'm going to break as well. So we traded there, but he's got these sharpshooters, which he can bring up and start picking off my cannons. Now that my skirmishers are gone, I'm moving my infantry up to get in these trees and avoid losing my artillery to infantry. I'm keeping some of my units back here. I really want him to think that I'm either on the left flank or on the right flank. Just trying to keep him unsure of where my men are. Up here you can see his other unit skirmishers broke, I think, to artillery because they were next to his 3-inch battery, which I also routed. They were in the woods right up here, and I was able to counter battery them and rout them off the field. You can see there I lost one of my artillery, so we kind of traded there, but minus 25 left. His is 15. Mine is likely to come back. His may or may not. They're only tired, so if he has his general over here, which he does, they probably will come back. If you watch my last video, you'll notice that it was the same map and I used the same strategy. This battle actually happened before that battle. And in this one, I was successful with artillery. In that one, the Union artillery got destroyed. But in this case, having superior numbers in terms of guns and then the elevation advantage helped a lot in driving his guns off. The unit's down to very tired. They may not come back at this point, but the initial skirmishing is more or less done. He's got his sharpshooters moving over. They're going to rout my Pennsylvania skirmishers. Here I'm sending a unit of infantry to push his skirmishers out of this woods. Once that happens, I'm going to bring up more infantry and try to sit in these woods and skirmish with his main line to distract them while I move a couple of my units over to this left flank. I got skirmishers here. As far as I can tell, he has little to no infantry here. So I'm going to try and take this woods and use it as a flank to assault his woods from. This way I can spread his unit out on 3 sides. His left flank is going to have to fight my Iron Brigade. Center is going to be distracted by my center infantry and artillery. And then I'm going to have infantry here to hit him on the flank. Just give myself the best possible chance of taking these woods without taking too many casualties in the open field. So here I set up, getting our volley off at him. He's just going to sit here and take it, distract my men as long as possible. These skirmishers aren't going to last long. As you can see, they already broke. Lost 7 men in 1 volley. Looks like they lost another one. Down to 14 men. They're going to break and likely not come back. Now I can get in these woods and start bringing up my other units. So I'm bringing up my Iron Brigade. Looks like I have 7th Wisconsin, 6th, 19th Indiana, 2nd Wisconsin, my favorite regiment of the Civil War, and the 24th Michigan. So I have the full Iron Brigade here. I used all my money to make sure I was able to get this brigade deployed for the battle. There's also there's a Zouave unit, New York unit, I believe, that First Corps has. It's relatively elite, but I did not bring them in favor of bringing all the Iron Brigade. The Winged Hussar is playing left wing. This is the Army of the Tennessee left wing. A relatively new army, along with the right wing. Not quite as good as the right wing, but still pretty good. From what I've seen, I've only fought them twice, so I don't know a ton about him, but he's engaging me at range. Here my units lost. My 2 units have lost combined 4 men. His units lost about 15 or 20. Mostly due to artillery, because he does have his cannons over here, and I've been targeting them down for a while. Here you can see his 3 inches came back, and he's firing at me again. I'm going to try to drive those off as quickly as I can. I've got all 12 of my guns still functional, so if I can hold on to that artillery advantage, I feel pretty good about winning this battle. Over here, I found out he did have a unit of infantry holding in this woods, so I have to stop my probe. I was thinking about going around behind him and getting his general artillery with skirmishers, but with this infantry here, it'd take too long to be useful. So I'm actually just going to hold until this infantry gets here, and then I'll push that infantry out of the woods. Up here, he pulls his infantry into the open field to push my guys out of his trees. I only have 3 infantry here, and he's got 4 just against these two, so he's going to come up and try to push me out while I'm separated. A mistake I make more often than I probably should is in 1v1s and 2v2s, I split my army, and I really shouldn't. There's no reason to, at least, especially not into 3 parts. I probably should have stayed in 2 fronts, but I was trying to be sneaky. Thankfully, it didn't hurt me here. He kind of stays at range and skirmishes with my men. Me being in the woods, I've got a cover bonus. I'll take less damage, but with slightly reduced accuracy. He'll have full accuracy, but reduced, or take full damage from me as well. And I have the artillery, so I can really skirmish him down. And between the artillery and this flanking force that I had, I was going to bring it up here and flank him. He's actually going to pull back into the woods. He does... Let's see. He did end up routing my 97th New York. I wonder if they're maybe getting hit by artillery here. Looks like there's decent piles, so it could have been a canister or shrapnel shot from that 3-inch that routed that unit along with his infantry fire. But this unit is most likely going to come back. They've only lost less than 30 men, 24 men. So I'm going to bring my general up, get them to come back. I'll let them rest since they're tired, and then I'll put them back in the woods and try and hold it. In the meantime, I'm going to use my artillery, or at least one of the units, to route that artillery so I can make an assault in the woods. That's all I'm really waiting for at the moment. Looks like that unit routed again. I'm waiting for his artillery to be gone completely so I don't have to worry about canister, but after realizing how much stronger he is than me in the center, I decide to move my Iron Brigade forward to assault this corner in the woods, and at the same time I'm going to bring some units from this flank and try to destroy this unit while it's on its own. He did rout my skirmishers, but that's not a big deal. So far, I don't think either side has permanently lost a infantry unit. This unit, for now, is routing, but it will come back. Or should come back. Over here, he has his sharpshooters in the woods, trying to pick off at my Iron Brigade. I'm going to devote 1 or 2 full units, or regiments, just to killing these guys. There's not a lot of men there, and they won't stand long if they actually get shot at, but if they're ignored on a flank, they can get a lot of kills racked up just by the long-range skirmishing. They do have very high accuracy. See, I don't know if their guns... Okay, their guns are just normal, no scopes. So I'm going to use the 2nd Wisconsin to try to drive these guys off and rout them from the field. Meanwhile, the rest of my Iron Brigade force is assaulting him in the woods. He's got 3 units against me. He's got his general coming up. I am leapfrogging units here, so I had the 6th Wisconsin fire a volley and then get the reloads. Then I had 7th Wisconsin leapfrog in front of them, get a full volley off, and then I'm just going to keep moving up. I'm actually going to move the 6th Wisconsin to plug this slight gap. So it's a 1-to-1 regiment-to-regiment fire, or line. I'm also going to move the 19th Indiana around this flank and try and turn his 58th North Carolina. And you can see I was able to run up and get a good volley off on his sharpshooters, and they're going to break. So now I can use that 2nd Wisconsin to hit him in the flank here. He's got some reserve lines. And my Iron Brigade's actually in a sketchy position right now. He's got a unit of artillery, 5 guns, plus 5 infantry in his general here, and I've only got 5 infantry to face those. He has the rest of his army fairly close. Mine is all spread out. I can't bring mine up to support, at least not in good time. So I do bring my general over in case of a melee, but I'm more than happy just to sit at mid-range and trade shots. The Iron Brigade has very high accuracy. For him, it's better to charge in melee, so you can see here on my left, he charges the 7th Wisconsin with his 4th Battalion of the Alabama Legion, and he's actually going to break the 7th Wisconsin, cause heavy casualties, and now I'm in a very precarious position. He's got me flanked and outnumbered. Here, this unit, 58th North Carolina, was taking so many casualties from the fire from 24th Michigan that they almost broke. He charges them in. Iron Brigade has great accuracy and reload rate, but they also have pretty good melee, some of the best melee in the Union Army, but about average or slightly above average in terms of Confederate armies. So with my general up here, I should be able to break that 58th, which I do. And I'm actually going to charge my 19th Indiana in, get them into the woods, and try to route that unit so that my 24th Michigan can get back into firing. He's going to charge his 7th Florida in. Over here, he's got the 4th Battalion down to 50 men. My 6th Wisconsin is going to route that unit. They did come back because my general, and I have the 7th Wisconsin over here reforming. They're going to march over from behind and get rested up. Let's see, I believe getting my 2nd Wisconsin with full reloads. I'm actually going to flank this 10th Mississippi and try to get shots off at them while they're in melee with the 19th Indiana. There you can see one shot already. I guess my guys did not have the reloads, so I have to wait for them to reload. And there I lost another unit. Looks like the 6th Wisconsin's broken now, but I was able to break 2 of his units so far. My other Iron Brigade's holding. I'm going to bring my general over here so they don't get shot. The 19th Indiana is not happy. I put my 2nd Wisconsin into melee mode, prepping to charge this unit of 10th Mississippi, but before I can do it, 10th Mississippi breaks. And now he's going to charge his 9th Mississippi in to the 24th Michigan, who I think is already in melee with one of his units. So now they're going to be fighting 9th Mississippi versus 24th Michigan. I'm going to bring my reserves up. They're tired, but I need to get them back in the fight because I am outnumbered at the moment. Indiana has lost 40 men. They're not happy. 2nd Wisconsin has gotten some decent kills and only lost 1 man so far, so they're doing really well. Not sure why most of the line isn't firing. Looks like they're targeting a unit over here somewhere. But in that melee exchange, he lost 4 of his infantry, and his general was routed too. Got hit by overshot. Basically, my men missing his line, hitting his general, and his artillery also got routed as Napoleons, so they're gone from the field and aren't going to come back. He does still have a decent number of units left in the woods here. I just can't see them. So I'm going to try and route this 9th Mississippi. Just kind of taking it back and forth with 24th Michigan. Both units are very tired or exhausted. Here I've got the 7th Wisconsin getting some flanking fire into his men. I probably should have moved them further to the left so they weren't potentially hitting my own men, because my men do break there, and you can see some guys getting hit. My bad. Definitely a mistake that I made. This 9th Mississippi is going to reform, but I believe I'm going to either charge or continue firing into him with 19th Indiana. And at this point, my men are still in a precarious position. I've got 3 units not broken. 24th Michigan likely is not coming back. And he's got 3 borderline fresh units coming, with some of these units likely to return. Over here, I probably should be pushing harder, but I kind of stopped microing over here simply because I was focused completely on this flank. If I was paying more attention, I should have brought these 4 units in way sooner, but they are on their way now. And I'm just going to stay out of melee and use my superior accuracy and reload rate to try and weaken these Confederate units as much as possible. Here you can see the 1st Battalion came back again. They're going to route for, I think, the 3rd time. You can see 3 more fresh units. Me seeing this, I don't want to lose my general or my elite units, so I'm using my artillery, targeting his infantry down, trying to route them as quickly as possible so I can hold until my reserves get up here. He's actually going to move his 5th Kentucky from the far right, and so that frees up 2 of my units. So I'm bringing all 6 of my other infantry units into the woods to try and kind of sandwich him. But for now, it's not looking good for my infantry on this side. The Iron Brigade is going to have to use every ounce of skill and experience they have. 58th Alabama breaks for the 2nd time. I'm able to shift my 2nd Wisconsin to focus on the 3rd Battalion as well as the 2nd Battalion of the Alabama Legion. This unit's about to break, so if I can get them to break, he'll be pretty much out of reserves in this flank. There you can see I'm getting some shots. His men are still reforming. His men are fresh. He probably could tell them to run at this point just to get into line faster so that they're not taking shots, that way they're not taking shots and failing to return fire as long as they're reforming. Second battalion's broken. And what really hurt him, I think, I don't know if his general came back. Yeah, his general may have routed from the field, which is what's really hurting him right now. Because I have a general still, I've got a double morale advantage. Elite units plus the general gives a big advantage in morale. He's got 10th Mississippi on this flank. They came back. He's going to bring them up and flank my 2nd Wisconsin. And I'm actually pulling my 19th Indiana back to give my artillery a more clear line of sight. He's going to get into melee, try and route my 2 units before my reserves get here. And up here, the 44th Tennessee skirmishers is going to try to delay my reinforcements from getting here in time. There you can see the melee happens. 19th Indiana's at about 50% strength, so they're likely not going to stay. That was a mistake. I didn't tell my cannons to hold fire fast enough, and they actually hit my own men, but it does enough morale damage to his Florida cavalry that 2nd Wisconsin is able to break him. And over here, his infantry unit actually broke against the Indiana despite having the numbers advantage. I had a general, he did not, and the artillery coming down that kind of broke those 2 units. And at that point, he decided that the battle was not winnable for him. It may still have been, but I don't know how much he actually had left since it's in the woods and it's all hidden. So he actually admits defeat there, and the battle ends early. But you can see the kills. I had 751, and he had 556 losses, about 200 less for me. Numbers were about even. So you can look at my unit statistics. 24th Michigan had 151 kills. 2nd Wisconsin, by far the best unit overall. 151 kills, only 29 lost. And you can see how useful artillery was in this battle. The 2nd Maine, only 1 loss, and they took out 119 enemies. And my 2nd battery, the one that routed, only lost 6. They took out 46. Numbers aren't a ton for them, but in a small battle like this that didn't last very long, there's not a lot of kills to be had anyway. Plus, they did the damage that artillery does that is really helpful is the morale damage to help rout units that are weak and clear up your units to fight elsewhere. So that's going to be the end of this one. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to the next one.